Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on Monday. Today we are talking all things Con and Annie Kirby Memorial. We're talking about the Puppy Oaks final from Shelbourne Park, the opening round at Shelbourne Open 600, and of course the semi-finals at the time Greyhound Nutrition select stakes from Waterford. There is a lot to get through, so we need two men that can talk, and we certainly have that. We have the two bald warriors that Barry referred to themselves off camera, Tommy Lyons, the exiled dub, and Barry Caul, the Northsider. We let him onto this every now and again, and he in fairness to him, he's a good contributor. Let's get into it, gentlemen. Barry, were you on the track at the weekend? I know you were in Bath on Friday night, enjoying the sunshine.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a push if I was to make Shelbourne now on Saturday night. I was only back about 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, so I could hardly come in and just say hi and shoot off to Shelbourne Park. But I
Hi
did
and bye.
hi and bye. Yeah, wouldn't have went down too well. I'm gone since Thursday, so yeah, I come back home, watch the racing online on the Bark and Buzz app. So yeah, terrific action at both tracks.
Yeah, Tommy, big weekend of racing, obviously enough, but the Kirby is very much the feature. And I think it once again cemented its place in the hearts of Irish Greyhound folk. By all accounts, I wasn't there, but the scenes down there looked joyous. We saw some exceptional racing. Of course, we had a couple of equine stars on the track. I am Maximus and Manila Times. A great atmosphere all around. And in the end, a tremendous winner.
The best thing about the Kirby final was the authority of the performance. I didn't think there was that performance in any of the six dogs. I thought it was wide open, likely to be kind of a, what'll get the bend, or will there be a little bit of luck here, or will something be able to kind of get turned close enough. Everything about it looked like a real race, a real kind of competitive race, and like it wasn't won in 28:70 or 29 seconds, 28:10 with an absolutely dazzling display. It was superb.
Yeah, this was a performance of a Greyhound that has, I think, really appreciated the week on week action. If you look at his opening round display, it was a fine display, 28:48, 28:54 in the first two rounds. He suffered his only defeat of the Kirby in the third round, was beaten half length in the neck in a tight affair. He's clocking 28:71, but then definitely his performance of the competition thus far in the semi-finals was 28:23. It was a brilliant run that night. He was challenged around the last two bends, and we noted it last week, Tommy, that he kicked from the last bend, and so when he hit the front off when he hit the front early last week, we knew that into the back straight this race was over, and this was another brilliant performance by a dog who just seemed to be improving every time he went on the track. And who's to say if he went again next week, he wouldn't go faster. An authoritative display. Barry, when you were looking for a dog in a final like this, one that can start, one that can stay, it's a pretty good combination.
Yeah, look, just speaking about the race as a whole, from a punter's point of view, I thought it was a very, very tricky race. Phoenix Tyson's probably was the most reliable starter in the race, and I just thought Knockeen Dazzler might have struggled a little bit from six to clear him, but it was a type of race that was very, very hard to have a bet in. Now, I know there was good support for him on the night, Knockeen Dazzler, and he done everything right on the night. And as a small owner, trainer, as Dan Rahilly is, he done everything right as well. He got his dog to produce 28:10 on the biggest night of all as well. And looking back through his career, like, they've taken their time with him. He's a big dog. He's 80 odd pound, and I think he had his first official trial at 16 months. They again gave him another couple of months off. He didn't really race until he was maybe 18 months. I think he won a small stake around Tralee at the start of his career, and he came up to Shelbourne Park then, and he took on some real good sort of gatekeepers, as you'd call them. I mean, you know them well, the likes of Uncle Tom and Sunshine Zoe and that sort of stuff. And I think he might have got himself a little bit of an injury around the opening bend. He didn't run the first two bends great. He showed huge pace down the back straight, and he was all at sea around the bottom two bends. He finished at the tail of the field, but it gave him 3 months off, come back with a flying trial around Limerick, 18:50 odd, I think it was. And then he might have had one prep run straight into the Kirby. And as I say, Dan's done a fantastic job with him. Got him to peak 28:10 on the night. So look, it's great to see the smaller man win. He doesn't have the firepower of the Graham Hollands and that. But yeah, it's great to see a smaller man win, and he couldn't be more happier for him. A young fella like that. Still in fifth year school. So I wonder, did he make school today?
Whether he made school or not, if he did, I don't think he'd be learning too much. I think his head'd still be up in the clouds. Brilliant performance.
Say lunch is on him.
Yeah, I'd say lunch is definitely on him. €80,000 to the winner, of course, Dan O'Rahilly. Fifth class a fifth-year student, as you said, his father Roger. There was obviously an association there with the Matthews family. They travelled up to Newry, picked this dog out. Wasn't a bad choice. Obviously bred in the purple. Love Island is a sister to Million Dreams, who was the dam of the runner in second, Merits Inclusion. They're also a sister to Unlock, and we know how good her litter or two have been. It's a very special family, no question about it. Damien Matthews, from what I saw in the clips and pictures, he was as happy, with the result as any man, even though he was second with his own dog, Merits Inclusion. But for one to leave their kennel and a 1-2 in the Kirby for the Matthews in terms of breeding operation, it's a huge result for them, and certainly makes it easier to sell pups down the line. I don't think any of those daughters of Thomas Delight will struggle to sell pups now down the line. But no, a brilliant performance by Knockeen Dazzler. We will mention Merits Inclusion in second spot. He missed the kick, showed terrific early speed into the opening corner. Again, doesn't run a great opening corner. He's very big and raw, and just so much to come from him. His pace is there for all to see. He's off the toaster. It'd be very interesting to see how he handles the English Derby track. But a big run from him in second spot. Scooby Pacemaker did all he could. He broke well. He's in a nice pitch into the opening corner, but just couldn't contain Merits Inclusion. We said last week, Tommy, I felt Merits Inclusion had the more early speed than those on his inside. I thought he'd get first run on them. As it was, he slipped up the inside of Scooby Pacemaker from a slow start, and that was the end of Scooby Pacemaker. And indeed, it was the end of everything. Nothing else get involved thereafter. Romeo, Kingpin, Epic Chick. We must give Barry his plaudits. He tipped up Phoenix Tyson at the start of the competition at huge prices. Did you get your each way money, Barry?
Got the each way. Lucky enough, it was each way first 6, so there was not much of a sweat on during the week. But no, my luck, that would usually be each way first 5, and he finished at the tail of the field. But yeah, he's a nice dog, good early pace, and that's the reason why I picked him. He ran well in a nice stake in Shelbourne Park prior to the event. So yeah, got a few good out of him. He ran well.
Yeah, Tommy, give me your thoughts on the race itself.
A few important factors at the start of the race. Phoenix Tyson missed it. And that was my concern, the exact same as Barry talked about. My concern for Knockeen Dazzler was that if Phoenix Tyson broke as well as he did in the semi-final, it might have been enough of a stumbling block to hold up Knockeen Dazzler and let the likes of Merits Inclusion turn closer, maybe upside him. And also, very importantly, Scooby Pacemaker flew out. Relative to what he had been doing in recent weeks, he flew out. And again, a great sign for Jennifer O'Donnell to be able to do that. You win in derbies just to get the dogs out on the night. She could do no more for Scooby Pacemaker, get him out of traps, and he's again exactly what you talked about last week about the early pace of Merits Inclusion. Merits Inclusion just missed it, but showed some pace to get up along the inside. To be able to get up in the inside into second place, show the pace he did, and to be beaten only 4 lengths was a huge run. But obviously going forward, it's going to be an Achilles heel if he can't start to find trapping boots. He'll always be in the same sort of predicament in his races. Epic Chick, she had just kind of run out of luck. I don't know why. I don't think it's not that she wasn't showing pace or she wasn't showing her ability. She did a 28-second run early in the competition, but things just did not go right for her since. And she actually broke quite well, I thought, and just just hadn't the pace to get away from dogs at the first bend. Romeo Kingpin, it just didn't happen for her at all. But I just love the fact that really, like, I tipped Merits Inclusion. It doesn't. It's entirely inconsequential. You think over the course of a year you tip enough winners and all of that, not to be worried about 1 or 2 losing and the like. But I just absolutely, when I watched the race, I just loved it. I just thought, you know what? That's a proper performance. And that's what you want out of a final. That's what you want out of a Kirby. It doesn't matter whether it's your dog or it's not, or it's the one you wanted or the one you didn't want or whatever. That sort of performance is what we watch Greyhound racing for. I'm honest to God, I'm not hyping it up. I just came away after watching going, Jesus, that was just a really good race.
Yeah, it was
really
one of the most authoritative performances we've seen in the Kirby final in its 11-year history. It was just taken by the scruff of the neck, flashed out. He does. Like I spoke about his winning times through the competition improving. If you look at his splits, like in that race that Barry alluded to, his prep race, he does a 136, and then it's 135, 134, 128, and 2 126 at the finish. Like, if that's not a dog that's just growing into himself, developing, as Barry said, he's 80 pounds. He raced at 79 the other evening. He's just a lovely size greyhound now. He's just the right size of 80. He's a great starter. He's fluent. He's strong. 550 yards wouldn't take a breath out of him. Just looking at him the other evening, the way he's charged up the home straight in his last 2 to 3 starts. They've already alluded to the fact that the Ledger's a bit earlier this year. That's obviously going to be a target for him. I'd love to see him in Shelbourne Park. They're obviously not talking about England for him. That's understandable. But yeah, I don't think, while he started the competition as one of the lesser known names, I think he's emerged a thoroughly deserving winner of the competition. His consistency through it, his rapid rate of sort of progression through the competition is there for all to see. And as you said, that final display, 28-10, was absolutely 100% done with pure authority, 5-2 at the off. And I'm not surprised, Tommy. We were trying to make a case for him last week, and we just had that little worry about Phoenix Tyson. But
that's exactly it. And look, these there's two things that a race can hinge on, a greyhound race can hinge on. One is a little bit of luck, or two, you go and do it, and whatever the rest of them do doesn't matter. And that's what that was the other night. Knockeen Dazzler absolutely flew, drove the bend. He went from. I know it's hard to see it from the camera and the angle at the first bend and all that, but he went from about a length and a half up to about 5 lengths up at the second bend, between the first and second bends. He absolutely drove them. And though the beauty is, right, that expends a lot of energy. And I know there's a tiny bit of scrimmage, and I wouldn't say it was
as much
rough at all.
merits inclusion, just go up the inside, but then he himself
Yeah,
trips off and throws away the 2 to 3 lengths, and it's momentum as much as anything else. I used the term fluency. There was a real fluency to Knockeen Dazzler.
but
Didn't miss a beat.
Well, what we knew as well, Ian, and this is lovely about the performance as well. We knew that whatever energy he spent early wasn't going to make a difference, because he was going to drive home anyway. Like if he isn't a dog that's going to improve for 550, I'm a Dutchman. That's like he's everything about the way he races. Like, he's really driving into the bend. He's driving around the first two bends. You do that in a 550, and you're galloping up the straight as strong as he's galloping up the straight in Limerick. You're a natural for 550. He did. I just, honest to God, I absolutely love. Actually, it's a funny one, because while I was, just doing a report for this morning, looking at some of the other competitions, I was going, oh my God, there's the Bishop who win the Oaks. Next thing I'm looking at, well, there's another Bishop who win the Oaks. The depth of talent is there. So it's not like you were going to be saying he's a 10-1 chance to win a derby by any means. But he's definitely put his name in the pot. Like, he's
The
a
thing that could help him
proper
this
greyhound.
year, sorry, Tom, the thing that could help him this year is, and look again, it's hard to believe the Kirby's only gone 11 years, isn't it? It really is like one of the highlights of the calendar. But runners from the Kirby don't tend to have a great strike rate in the Derby. I think if you're to win a Derby, you need to be arriving in Shelbourne Park in June with a couple of prep races and stuff like that. And okay, the Kirby's a tough enough competition. It's 5 runs, and ideally you want to have a prep run or two around there. So it's very hard to have them run maybe 6-7 races in Limerick and then sort of ease off on them and try and get them back going again. You need to really keep them going. But this year, with the Derby being on later due to the redevelopments in Shelbourne Park, you can give a dog maybe a decent break through the summer and then build them back up for maybe the Champion Stakes and the Derby. Whereas previous years, you didn't have that luxury to really ease off on them before you started them again, because, as I say, like, we're almost into May now and the Derby kicks off in June. So it was a tricky one. I think Clonbrine Treaty might have got to a quarterfinal last year. It's probably about as good as dogs that tend to go from the Kirby into the Derby. So it'd be interesting this year. It just gives them a little bit longer.
But he's the guts of what, 5.5 months now before the start of the Derby. They can do what they want. They could put him away for 2
so
or 3
exactly.
months,
You can ease right off him and start again.
I would suggest they'll, obviously target the Ledger with him. He'll have a race or two before the Ledger, you'd suspect. But yeah, their campaign is pretty much set out. If they're skipping England, there's 3 or 4 events that they could target with the Derby in mind later on in the year. And from all I've seen of him, I think you have to aim high with him. That's the way it's going to be. I wouldn't be taking in, minor open races, or, when I say minor open races, like, he's not going to be getting into an AO or anything like that. It's all AAO company, but, I wouldn't be messing around with him. I'd just be targeting the big races, the big pots, and get him to the Derby as, hopefully, in as good a condition as he was on Saturday night. And I'll tell you what, you have a player. You really do have a player. He's a true wide seed. He's a natural starter. He's strong. And obviously he's gone 2 years of age, but look, he's still very little mileage on the clock. I don't know. I think the world is his oyster. Like, if he was trained by a Graham Holland or a Michael O'Donovan or, a Pat Guilfoyle or whoever, he'd be disputing favoritism for the Derby. You know, and I guarantee, I haven't seen the price this morning, but I guarantee it's still probably 33, 40 to 1 chance.
Well, what you said there about trap six and being a wide seat, that's huge, absolutely huge. Because look, we've seen 80% of the runners now in these big competitions are inside seats, so it only just takes the wrong one to be drawn in trap four, and you're in trap three, and you're in massive, massive trouble. He's likely going to have trap six. What, 95% of the time, he might get a poor draw and get five one night, but the trap draw is massive for me.
Yeah. In
He's
behind
also,
go ahead, Tommy.
sorry, he's also going to be close enough to the right age. You like him to be maybe between 2.5 and 3, kind of for the Derby. He's going to be at the right age and the right kind of maturity, close enough to it.
He's going to be like, he is sort of a second season dog, but he's not really. Like, he's like, it's his first sort of full crack at it. Like, but he's going to be the age of a second season dog going into the start of a Derby. Like, he'd be 2.5 years of age. Perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Perfect. And I know it's a younger profile in recent times, but you know, this dog, as I said, lightly raced. His rate of progression through the competition was startling, and a wonderful winner of the Conlanny Kirby Memorial. In behind him, merits inclusion. He's still big, raw. There's any amount to come from him. I've no question about. I've no doubt about that. I was blown away by him on his debut at Shelbourne Park, knowing what knowing that he could only improve for it considerably. He has. He's after been second in the Kirby. He's after landing €20,000. Like, it's not an unsubstantial sum. Like, it's a big amount of money for second spot. Scooby Pacemaker. I think you're right, Tommy. Jennifer did all she could. All she could do was get this dog out of traps. The fact of the matter is, he does everything well. He's what I'd call an all-rounder. Good starter, good down the back, strong. Doesn't do anything sensationally well. He's not brilliant to the corner. He's not brilliant down the back. He's not finishing like a train. He just does everything right. He's a great all-rounder. He's a dog that'll certainly run well in competitions. He's not the other Kobe or Born Warrior, in a sense where he's not going to be rocketing into the bend and beating the best dogs in training to the bend. He's going to need that little bit of luck in running. Romeo Kingpin, he missed the kick the other night. He's obviously a very talented greyhound. He has been inconsistent at boxes. That was my issue, is something I highlighted last week. They are not, well, I got the impression from a couple of the quotes I saw yesterday that he's not going to go to England. I would suggest that they might keep him for maybe the Produce Stakes or something like that here at home. Epic Chick, she's obviously hugely fast. She, her problem is just getting that yard early. You know, when she takes on the razor sharp pitches and the Oaks, she'll need to be at her very, very sharpest. And Phoenix Tyson, well, you can completely dismiss his run the other evening. He walked out of traps and got balked in the corner. That's not his game. He's all about flying starts. I don't think he'll be a Derby winner or anything like it, but I think he'll win a bucket load of races before the year is done. A cracking final, a cracking event. Again, our thanks to JP and Noreen McManus, who were both present at Limerick on Saturday night, and I think that's important. I think it's great that they were there. They see how much it means to the local community, to the GA community, to the Greyhound community, and to everybody in Limerick. It's a very special occasion. It's a very special competition, and this is what we've been talking about, Tommy. That sense of occasion that is provided by the likes of a Kirby. You know, this was not just a Greyhound race. This was a celebration of Limerick and a celebration of the GA and the horse racing community coming together, and then on top of that, Greyhound community at its very, very best.
And a huge amount of money to being spread about as well, in fairness, and and that's important too, to sustain the game. Yeah, it's great. It's like you see when Joe Sheehan was on last week, the enthusiasm he has for it and the way he talks about it. You know what I mean? It's excellent. It's excellent actually to be listening to him and to have him talking about Limerick, because he's deeply involved. And how much it means to him. He talked about last week about how many syndicates he's involved in now with different dogs and whatever else, and just the enthusiasm down there is great, and that Kirby Memorial is hugely important in fostering that sort of interest and that sort of enthusiasm for it, because everybody wants, like, likelihood I go through my life, I'll never have a dog that's good enough to run the Kirby. But it's still you still get a pup, and you hope that maybe they'll improve and they might get to some sort of level down there, because you're so close to it. That's what they're all hunting for. They want to be something that can be in there and be involved in that. And you know what? You also know when you're going to Kirby, you're going to have all the GA clubs involved as well. So there's going to be a big crowd and a great atmosphere, and people talking about it throughout the county. As you know, it's absolutely huge. It's a brilliant addition to the calendar.
Yeah, Barry, like, you're in a position where you're getting your hands on more dogs than we are. Like, I've said it many times in the past, where people used to buy a dog for the Puppy Derby. Now it's a case of, if we can get a Kirby dog, isn't that great? And by essence, if you have a Kirby dog, you have a Derby dog. And, the dream is to get one good enough to go to Limerick.
Yeah, look, and I said that they don't have a great record in the Derby, which they don't. But you just look at some of the stars that have come out in the last 2 years, especially the last 2 years. Graham Holland's pair of Sword Rex and Clonbrien Treaty last year, like two real stars of the track. I know Sword Rex is probably well past the sell by date by now, but we've seen how good Clonbrien Treaty still is, and I'm sure Knockeen Dazzler will be as good as any of those two on his day. And look, as I've mentioned before, it's only gone 11 years, and people new to the sport will just think that's been run for the last 30, 40 years. It's not. It's amazing to think it is only gone 11 years, and it's just gone from strength to strength. And one thing I'd like to touch on is it's great to see the kids involved. There's so many young kids, and as Tommy did mention, they are the next generation, and they all look like they were having a ball, whether they're involved with a runner or through their GAA clubs or family or friends. It's great to see them, because we do need the kids involved. They are the future, I suppose.
Yeah, a terrific night all round at Limerick. Some fine displays. Kilcolgan Zoo was 28.47, Valley Alf 28.55, Extra Gain 29.91 for the 550. And then we had Castle Ivy Gin. She took off in an open race, 28.24, big run from her. Carol will be delighted with himself. Miss Mindy Holly won over 41.80 for 750 yards. Eye catcher there was Ocean Tesla, who ran so well in the Kirby. She just stopped in a run to the fifth bend when looking likely to make a bold bid. Hope's Hurricane returned to something like his very, very best. He produced a near record run in the sprint for Pat Buckley and Nick and Amanda Giel. Of course, he was known as Get It Right in his early days. He looked a real star around Dundalk and whatnot. Took off the other evening, 18.38. I would suspect he'll be a big player in the Irish Sprint Cup this year and leading sprint competitions. Rushy Meadows, Tommy, I assume she was one of those potential Oaks winner you spoke of. She
definitely was.
For her to hold Halo into the corner and lead him like she did, 28.16, she was so unlucky to go out of Kirby the way she did. Another big runner on the night for Brendan Matthews. I think this lady is very, very talented.
Yeah, this was the first one I was going, oh my God, this could be this is our Oaks winner. And then as I went on, I was looking at a few more. But yeah, like the way it worked out for them, I'd say I don't know what the backstory of it is, but I just say the way things worked out. Like the Kirby, you're coming into the Kirby without a prep run, and it's just
she was in season. She was in season the night of the Puppy Oaks final. She was beating a neck, and so they were on a real rush to get her back.
Exactly, and to do the run she did in the first round, the 28.31, and then she was unlucky, as you said, to go out in the second round. Knockeen Dazzler actually won the heat, and then the other night, I mean, she did 135, 130, 129, and that to me is there's a huge amount more progression in her as well. So I mean, she definitely went down as she'd be close to the top of my list now for the Oaks.
Yeah, mine too. The Sean O'Connor Memorial, of course, was worth a very impressive €5,000. The winner was Tinahu Papone, son of Toker Forest, 28.27. Did everything right for John Fox. Yeah, good to see John with a good winner. Barry, nice dog, 128, made every inch.
Yeah, I think going through the Kirby in previous weeks, I was checking the fastest section. I think the fastest section of the entire competition was about 125. So for that dog, I think he clocked 128 and 126 on the last 2 weekends. If you're doing those sort of runs, you're certain to be thereabouts. And yeah, another dog could put in his best run when it mattered most. I think that was a career best, and I just say a nice pot to win. I don't think it's followed the same rules as I had in a couple of years. It used to be for dogs that were knocked out, but I'm pretty sure check for Southern McNeil weren't knocked out in the early rounds of the Kirby this year.
Yeah, that's true. It was an A1 competition this year, pure as I think. The I Am Maximus Open 550 went to undulation. She's not my idea of an Oaks winner, Tommy. I would suggest she'll probably skip it. She's every yard a 550-yard bitch. This was a brilliant performance by her. Another big run for the Matthews family. I would suggest Toaster is her bag.
Yeah, she's no favorite of mine too. I really like this bitch. She's just wouldn't have the sharpness for an Oaks anyway. That'd be her issue. But she's powerful, and she's classy, and she is proven against dogs, against top dogs as well. So, yeah, if she wants to go to Toaster, she'd have her chance.
Yeah, last winner was an interesting winner. Glenbervie Puka, and not one you want to be commentating on too much in a tight finish. Glenbervie Puka. She's November 21, but she's relatively lightly raced. This was a big run. She's a decent card. A couple of fine runs around Clonmel and Waterford. Qualified to race in 28.45. Just one that caught my eye. 125. Barry, you said it. 125 was as quick as you get down there. She does 28.26. She beats Glengar Martha 5.5 lengths. Mightn't be too long before we see her going to Shelbourne Park. There's an Oaks coming up.
Yeah, Oaks in a couple of weeks, I suppose. And as Tommy mentioned, you see all those good bitches that won down there. And there's a few decent bitches as well that ran at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. So Yeah, it's shaping up to be a cracking oaks. It's not too far away. It's in the next couple of weeks, I'd say. And yeah, you look at the likes of Rushy Meadows and Castle Ivan, Ivan Ginge, and again, Glen Breavy, Puka. I hope I'm not commentating that late in a thrilling finish, but yeah, it's going to be a cracking oaks. And look, we've said it before, the bitches really have come to the fore in the last couple of years, haven't they? Look, with Derby winners and Derby runner-ups, and yeah, the ladies are really stepping forward, so it's going to be a cracking oaks.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about that. Last word must go to young Daniel O'Reilly. Well done on his victory in the Conlanny Kirby Memorial with the ever progressive Knockeen Dazzler. Where he will end up, well, we don't know. But I'll tell you something, it's going to be exciting to see because he is an exceptionally talented greyhound, one with real authority. But have no doubt, we'll see plenty of those in behind him, including Merits Inclusion, the runner-up. Cracking Conlanny Kirby Memorial. Can't believe it's over for another year, 2024. Roll on 2025. Now we'll move on because there was a couple of big performances in the Select Stakes at Waterford on Saturday night, Barry. The Time Greyhound Nutrition Select Stakes there. Wonderful sponsors, and they have a wonderful competition. Obviously, there was 2 or 3 non-runners. Ballymac Walt was a non-runner. That was expected, given the fact that he'd been sold on auction previous week for a decent sum of money, it must be said. He's going to be plying his trade now across in the UK. Looks a real, looks a dog that could really mop up in the UK. Given his early speed and whatnot. In the other heat, we lost 2. We lost Bocco's Crystal. She was out in trap 5, and the Ballymun Boy Dog was out from trap 4. It didn't take away from either contest. We had a fantastic winner in the opening heat, Jack Tavern Bolt. It's testament to the dog and his back catalogue of class that he was 5-4 favourite, despite going considerably slower than some of his rivals in the previous round. But I thought he showed great bravery into the opening corner, drove it, and got round in front of Trinity Junior, who I thought ran a big race in defeat. Back in third was Ballymac Finn.
Yeah, look, that Jack Tavern Bolt, he was a dog that racked up maybe 10 in a row last year, wasn't it, down around Cork? I think he was really mopping up races, and he's come back this year sort of slowly but surely. I think he's won maybe 4 of his 5 starts. He won up in Shelbourne Park, and that was a big run there this year. It was a thrilling finish. Like, off the last bend, the 3 of them were there in line. Ballymac Finn switched to the inside, and Trinity Junior on the outside. The 2 sort of dogs in the autumnal of their career, I'd say now, those 2 lads, Trinity Junior and Ballymac Finn. But I'd say they still have a good season left for them in 2024. High trend didn't happen for him, missed the break, and drawn outside on the outside of some real speed. So
edged in, took a bump, lost momentum. He's never a player. I wouldn't.
Yeah, you're never going to, like, if you half miss it, you're not going to lead the likes of Jack Tavern Bolt or the Trinity Junior on this day. But yeah, look, Jack Tavern Bolt, he was brave to just get up the inside, or sorry, the outside of Mustang Sally and take up the lead. And then on 28-28, he's well capable of that sort of run. And look, you've got 2 real stars in behind him who I said they are no younger, but running well in Ballymac Finn and Trinity Junior.
Yeah, Tommy, you would have seen Jack Tavern Bolt more than most. No surprise to see him land on the spoils. Obviously, he was installed favourite for the competition ahead of the semi-finals, and yeah, I think there's even better to come from him. If it had been his litter companion Balnakill Alf in front off the last bend, I think he might have been picked up. I think Jack Tavern Bolt is a touch stronger.
Much stronger, definitely, and a really good dog. Again, not quite in the same way as last week, but he needed to be very brave at the first bend because he was flanked by plenty of pace. Trinity Junior feels like he's been around forever, and that is a great testament to the dog. That it just means that he's popped up in every big competition that we've been looking at over the course of the last couple of years, a smashing greyhound. And the game is ever, like, he's only beaten length behind the 28-28 winner. It's like, it's a huge effort. But Jack Tavern Bolt, I think you were quite sweet and mean last week as well, and he delivered with a bit of with a bit of tenacity as well. You like that in a greyhound.
And he can fly out. Like, some of his sections around Cork are absolutely off the charts. Like, so it'd be no surprise in the final if he took an absolute flyer and made every inch of the running. Trinity Junior, he reached a juvenile derby and a Ledger final. Yeah. In the late part of 2022, and here we are, sort of, we're getting towards the mid part of 2024, still going as well as ever. A testament to his connections, and Peter Cronin doing a wonderful job with the son of Law Hill Blake. Ballymac Finn the same. He's only beaten a short head for second spot. Big run from them. Again, Mustang Sally and High Trend just didn't happen for them. They'll have their day. On to the second heat, Droopy's Fidget. We've seen the preview. She's been running very, very well. Obviously, she a big third in the Easter Cup. Well, the other evening when she hit the lids, that was that, Tommy. It was over from early.
Well, she was another one that was on the list of the weekend going, oh my God, there's another Oaks player. This was a fabulous performance because, like, Droopy Zelda, okay, she didn't break. But, like, and I know she had been running a sprint in Cork, super sprint in Cork, but, like, the way Droopy's Fidget galloped away up the straight as well. I mean, this took my eye out. This is a superb display. Ruby Fidget. Yes, there are only four in it, but there were two. Trap one and trap two were both there, so she was in three. It wasn't like it was a gimme. Like the two inside boxes were empty, and she was able to do what she liked. She had to earn that position. Um, Obviously there'll be tougher tests next week. It'll be an interest to see how she copes. I don't know what trap she's in the final, but I love this performance, and I can't wait to see her back at Shelbourne Park.
Yeah, Barry, she's a proper lady, isn't she? Obviously she's a category 1 winner in the UK since she's come to Ireland. There's been glimpses here and there, and then her runs through the Easter Cup, and all of a sudden now we're in a select stakes final, and she's a big player.
Yeah, and she's not with Rob that long. I think she's only with Rob since the start of the year. And I've done a couple of these previews with you on the Easter Cup. And I think on one occasion, she went down the back straight, maybe a length behind Undulation, and she finished a length behind Undulation. So we know how strong she is. So once she led around the first bend there tonight, or on Saturday night, it was game over. And she's going up better. I think it was 3:15, 3:18, made all the last 2 weeks. And yeah, she's only gone one way. Just echoing what Tommy says with the Oaks coming up, she certainly is going to be another big player.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the trap draw up. It's not.
Yeah, 1 Trinity Junior, 2 Droopies Fidget, 3 Jack Tavern Bold, 4 Ballymacfin, 5 Droopies Zelda, 6 a Lucky Julie.
Yeah,
Trinity Junior and 1 Droopy Fidget 2.
So much will depend on what Jack Tavern Bolt does at boxes. If he hits the lids, he's going to be hard enough to beat. But Droopy's Fidget, if she goes up like she did the other evening, Trinity Junior, I've always said I preferred him in the middle. Be interested to see what he does. He's a more mature dog now. He's not going to be diving right or anything like it. If he holds his pitch, I think he won the Champion Stakes from the inside draw. I think that's I'd say that's where his connection would like him in the final. Give him the best chance to victory. This is a race that could be decided in the opening yards, but it's a cracking final of the select stakes. Just looking at them, Barry, is there one that you'd go for at a bigger price? I know you're a man of sporting intentions.
Look, there's a lot of dogs well capable in it. That's one for sure. Like Ballymacfin is a Derby runner-up, but Trinity Junior is a Champion Stakes winner. So look, I know it was a couple of years ago, but they're certainly well capable. But no, on this occasion, I'll have to side with Jack Tavern Bolt. He seems to be coming to the boil nicely, and he's got some really strong form from last year. Looks a likely leader, and I think he'll take a bit of beating.
Yeah, I'll follow you. Tommy, you're making it 3? You're muted, mister.
Come on, Tommy.
If you could, if you could swap,
that was the most sense. That was the most sense he's made all year.
I'm just gonna say that I'm enjoying this part. Just do that on the tree or whatever.
Yeah. Now, if you could swap Trinity Junior and Droopy's Fidget, I think I'd take a chance on Droopy's Fidget, but from the draw, she'll have to clear Trinity Junior quickly, and it's going to be difficult enough. So, from the draw and the experience and a bit of early pace, you'd probably just favour Jack Tavern Bold. I wouldn't be taking the short price though.
No.
Apologies to the Pillar Syndicate, 3 of us involved.
Sorry about that, lads. You're carrying 12 stone 9 in the mud, right? Yeah, I know you can only carry 12 stone, but trust me, there's an extra £9 here anyway, maybe an extra £29. Let's get on to Shelbourne Park, a wonderful final of the Time Greyhound Nutrition Select Stakes to look forward to at Waterford on the weekend. Now to Shelbourne Park, where I think we'll start with the 600 and fittingly finish up then with the bitches and the puppy oaks. The 600, Tommy, some brilliant performances. Penny's Links 32.54, did everything right in the opening. He looked the part. I've long said I think this is his distance. I don't think he's sharp enough for the real top class greyhounds over 550 yards, but 600 yards. He's so powerful, so strong. A half brother to Susan Sapphire. It's strange to say. I just don't think he's quite sharp enough for the early pacers. But over 600 yards, he certainly has the pace to get to the front, and that was evident in the opening heat. He wins in 32.54, professional as you like, and all very easy.
All over passing the line the first time. And actually, in fairness, I know we've kind of played it down a little bit in terms of it just to his professional and all that, but the way he pulled about 7 or 8 clear to halfway was impressive. He mightn't get clear every night like that, but I still think it was a smashing performance. It was it's still one of my favorite competitions in the year. Just love the 600. Something about the race. We talk about it a lot. Something about the race.
It's gone to the stage where I nearly copy and paste my introduction for things. The 600-yard trip at Shelbourne Park is the truest test of a racing greyhound. 3 long straights. You need it all. You need early pace. You need the pace down the back. You need the stamina. Like, I could write it off the top of my head. It's just the same line. It stands to this day, Barry. It's just a wonderful, wonderful distance.
It is, and it always used to see the dogs that have gone really, really well in the Derby go straight into it after the Derby, and we've seen some really strong performers. The likes of Borna Pilot was I was a big fan of his, and there was a Mount Taylor dog. I can't remember his name. A big white and fawn dog that Matt O'Donnell had as well.
Yeah, yeah.
He really stepped up to the distance, and it can just make or break dogs over that distance, and they can make real stars of them. Heavenly Hero was another one who was very good over the distance as well, but yeah, Penny's Links. I'm a big fan of this dog. I do agree with you. Probably does lack that yard over the 550. I thought he was unlucky in one or two occasions. I thought prior to the start of the Easter Cup, he was a little bit unlucky. He was just about to go around in front that night. But yeah, once he flashed from trap 4 there on Saturday night, it was all over. I did think he looked a little bit quicker to the eye. 32.54. I thought, look, we've been waiting for this dog to get clear for a long, long time. He's done some huge runs previously, but 32.54. I think it was the slowest of the 4 quarterfinals. Look, I wouldn't say it would bother Hughie and Price too much, but yeah, I think it's important he gets that sort of a middle draw, like that again, 3 or 4. It keeps on coming away like that. Like, he's got to have every chance. I know, like, we'll touch on Roy Hope Beach in a couple of minutes, but he's extremely fast. But you wouldn't find it too handy to pick up a Penny's Links if he were to get 3 or 4 lengths.
No, I think the track was probably, when I'm not going to say it was back. I'm saying it was running okay, but it's definitely not summer going. Even though the sun was shining, it wasn't summer going, per se. But I thought it was a fine run, 32.54. It wasn't the slowest heat winner. Drew's Comrade flew home for second spot. Law Hill Rocky back in third. Orchid Queen was trying to wind up a challenge, but got held up a couple of times around the last 2 bends. She's a little bit unlucky not to finish in the frame. On to the second heat, and this was just so wonderfully fluent and promising. This was a run by Ballymac Gizmo, a brother to Ballymac Danica, who we'll get to in a little while. He'd looked an absolute star in the making in the first round at Enniscorthy. I know that Liam Dowling has turned down some huge offers for this greyhound. Didn't happen for the remainder of the Enniscorthy competition, just sort of finding a bit of traffic and whatnot. But every night you'd look at him in Enniscorthy going, I can't wait to see this dog at Shelbourne Park. And for him to have his debut at Shelbourne Park over testing 600-yard trip, saw his trial at Shelbourne the previous week. He did like a 16, 13 or 14 to the third bend, finishes in 28-23 or something like that. He's absolutely hammering home. So this 600 yards was never going to be an issue. To run past Rough Frankie like he did into the third bend is a big run. Like, while Rough Frankie, may struggle the last few yards over 600 yards, he doesn't struggle down the back straight. Ballymac Gizmo made him look a little bit sort of one paced into that third bend, took it up, goes on, fashion model, absolutely powerhouse, running on at second spot, but you couldn't get within 3 lengths of him on the line. 32.33. This was a stunning debut, Barry.
Yeah, look, a couple of things. As you mentioned there, Rough Frankie, and sometimes I take times in Shelbourne Park with a pinch of salt, but Rough Frankie is a real, he's a real top open class dog around Shelbourne Park without being at the very, very top. And he's a Midlands Derby winner as well, and he's been running well in there the last couple of Saturday nights as well. He took a flyer led by 2 or 3, and Ballymac Gizmo just blitzed him down the back straight and runs away from him coming home. It's interesting to see trap 1 in that sort of trip, 575, 600 yards.
Yeah,
it's
not where you want to be, especially on your Shelbourne debut. Trap 1 in the 600-yard box.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't seem to come out for that, and that's evident in some of the results. We just seen Orchid Queen in the previous race absolutely walk from traps. We probably won't touch on Hookham, a real professional, ran from trap 1 to 575 traps. Dogs just miss it from that trap for some reason, but he didn't. He came away okay, and I'm sure he can come away much better from the middle. It's very interesting when you look back through his form. Liam and Shane, they always give the dogs a trial at 13 months old, and this lad done something ridiculous like 29.40, I think it was, at 13 months old, a huge run. But then in his very next run, he was put in an official sprint against the Laddie Da, and then the following time he was in against the bitch that won the 750, Kinturk Road.
Yeah.
So that shows what they thought of him from day one, and I thought it was a huge performance. I still think the runner-up on the dog that finished third have a big future in the competition. I thought Droopy's Tico. I think he's coming back from layoff, ran on really, really strongly, got a little bit lost around the opening turns, and fashion model, we know how quick she is, but really looking forward to seeing Ballymac Gizmo again, and I'd love to see him from the middle box, because if he was to take a flying start, he could do a monster run.
Yeah, Tommy, it looked effortless.
I don't know what the sections are like in Enniscorthy, but he was able to lead a couple of nights. I know we've been in against kind of inexperienced rivals and all that, but I just love the way he quicked up to third bend. He's in July 22 running in the Shelbourne 600 and beating dogs of that standard. Now, in fairness, the one thing you'd always say about the Dowleys is they're never ever afraid to pitch a pup in against the best in the country. It doesn't matter if they know what they have, and they're generally proven right when they do it. Look at the laddie there, even in the Derby last year, and relatively inexperienced, coming out and doing big runs. This fella is a serious prospect. You'd love, now what Barry says, you'd love if he could break regularly and become a 550 dog. I don't know if that maybe he will. He's still July, like that's he's a pup doing that time from behind the pace in a Shelbourne 600. It's just huge.
Here's one for you. I knew it sort of rung a bell me when you were talking about a young pup coming up to Shelbourne Park and running over 600 yards. Ballymac Cashout debuted around Cork, ran in an unraced stake at Cork back in November, December in 2020. His fourth start came at Shelbourne Park. Now, this was in December, so it obviously wasn't the Shelbourne Open 600, but it was one of the bigger competitions, I assume. That was the year of the late. That was the COVID year. That the 600 was late that year. He ran the opening round. His Shelbourne Park debut wins in 32-33, the exact same time that Ballymac Gizmo did. Now, Ballymac Gizmo was having his fifth start, but yeah, it's not the first time they've done it. We know how well they thought and how much they thought of Ballymac Cashout. He's turning into a hell of a sire at the moment. So, all the signs are good for Ballymac Gizmo. I would suggest that the world is his oyster, shall they say.
But here's the thing, Ian, just when you're talking about that, look, there's probably a school of thought for putting them in that sort of 600, 575 rather than have them in a red hot 525, because if you're in a red hot 525 and there's dogs going to be thundering to the bend. At least, now, if he had a broke like he did there on Saturday night, he wouldn't have made the bend, but at least over that 575, 600 yard trip, the longer run does suit him. We've seen Pat Guilfoyle do it as well with a couple of hit dogs who were just short on confidence a little bit. I can't remember the name of the dog. But he put him in a 575, the longer run to the bend, and he went on to bigger and better things. So I think that might be in the back of their mind.
Explosive Boy. That's what it threw us for a spread at one stage. Remember Explosive Boy was a sprinter, and then he was a 525-yard dog. Wasn't getting home in the National Puppy Stake, and then a year later, there he is in the 575.
Yeah, but it's just that longer run gives them that little bit more to sort themselves out instead of those really quick Shelbourne Park Saturday night 525s, which are red hot to win.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see if it takes much out of him, just given the fact that he's running on so strongly in his trials and whatnot. You'd hope that it won't, but he is very young. He's lightly raced, and the 600 yards really does test him, Tommy. If it does leave a mark, that's understandable, but they will stand to him.
Yeah, like it is a finding a balance. Like the points Barry made are right, but if you're in a 525 and you, like, as long as you don't get really bad trouble, if you get a little bit crowded maybe and just held up a little bit, you're not exerting yourself as much, and you're not going to feel the effects of it as much by the end. You might come on from it, but you won't feel the effects of it. But like, there's no hiding place in a 600. That's my only concern. There's no hiding place. So you've got to have a dog that's really fit and has a great constitution. A bit like we talked about Trinity Junior being in every competition over the last few years. I mean, it takes a dog with a good constitution to be able to do that, and that's what you need if you're going to tackle 600. Even if you're a pup, they need to know what they have, and I think you can rely on the Dowleys. They pretty much know.
Very much so. We forgot to mention, like, he is out of Shelbourne Park royalty. Ballymac Arminta to this day is still the fastest bitch ever to cover 525 yards at Shelbourne Park, and I'm not sure. She may still be the fastest pitch ever to cover 550 yards in Shelbourne Park as well. I know one or two have gone pretty fast in the past, but I think Ballymac Arminta is something like a 29:07. Something crazy fast like that. Getting on to the Fashion Model was second. You know what a fan I am. And back in third, of course, was Druppy's Tico. He was obviously a dog that had a problem, had an injury or something down the line. He ran a big eye-catching run in defeat back in third spot. You'd imagine he'll come on for if all is well with him. Ballymac Arminta, incidentally, 29:12. I don't think that's the fastest run ever by a bitch over 550. It's not far off it though. Let's get on to Ballinabola Jim in Heat 3. I've always been a fan of this dog. Big Greyhound. He's been on the treadmill, it seems. He raced at 93 pounds in the opening round at Limerick. He raced at 87 the other night, 93, 90, 90, 90, and 87 the other evening, down 3 pounds for his first return to Shelbourne Park. Last time he ran at Shelbourne, he was 92, 90 or 87 the other night. Didn't affect him. He does this arguably one of his best ever runs, 32.67. This dog just loves the long run to the corner, Barry. Just a thoroughly likeable greyhound.
He is a likeable greyhound. He's been on the go quite a while this year, but he's running as well as ever, as you said. And yeah, he is a big boy, isn't he? We've seen him run at 93, but it's probably hard to keep a dog at that size, their weight. Like if you used to them maybe a bitch at 60 pounds, you can always keep her within one or two. But a big boy like him, you probably have to feed him 2 or 3 times, that way. But look, it's not stopping him. I think you might have said one night we might need a stall out in trap 6 to get him in there. Big old boy. But yeah, look, a good performance by the runner up as well in second. Kind of like Kate, she ran really well as well. But yeah, look, he's got a nice bit of early pace, that Ballinabullow Jim, doesn't he? When he gets things right, I suppose, and going to the corner. And if he traps well, yeah, he can go up with near enough the best of them, that sort of competition. But
Hookham was understandably favoured. You touched on it earlier on. He missed the kick and then found immediate traffic problems. He was never involved in the race. And when you take him out of it, like I know Hanover Phantom is a classic runner up, but he's been around a while too. It wasn't a race where you can say, oh, there was massive early speed. It was without question the weakest of the 4 heats. But Ballinabullow Jim just took about a scruff of neck. As you said, Kyanite Kate, who's a half sister to Ballymac Gizmo, ran well in second spot. She looks a really nice type. She'd run well in her previous outing. This was a similar enough type display. But Ballinabullow Jim just did everything right. If they ran it again next week, I think I'd back him again.
Yeah, look, and as you say, Hookham was the main danger, and I think Hookham's maybe his main asset is his trapping ability, isn't he? I know he's got great form over 750, and he almost hung on the marathon on the night of stars, but his trapping ability is really, really good. He can fly out in front, and he does lack that yard of pace at the bend. But once he didn't trap from one, which we've mentioned before, not a lot of dogs do. I think Hanover Phantom came in. Hanover Phantom ran quite well for me. He
did run well, yeah. Showed
lots
of pace down the back
to the corner, yeah. And he came home well. He's only beaten 4.5 lengths, and again, he's not getting any younger, this dog. But yeah, he ran really well for a dog of his age. But yeah, as you say, if he ran it again, probably would back Ballinabullow Jim. But if Hookham was in 3, you might go with him. But 1 is just an awful box to break from.
Yeah, Hanover Phantom's first run in Shelbourne since last November. I thought it ran well in defeat, as you said. Yeah. And also the last heat, a certain Ryhope Beach Tommy. I think this dog is. I think he's right. I think he's right as rain. He missed the kick the other evening. But even though he's off the pace and he's in a tricky position, I thought he ran fluent. I thought he ran clever. His pace around the third bend was there for all to see. Be picking up the likes of Azurite, Sing Along Dolly, and Easy Razzle as comfortably as he did to win by a length and a half, hitting the front only 50 yards from home. I think this basically justified our position as, seeing him as perhaps one of the fastest dogs on the planet.
He's there's something about what he does from about halfway to home, and it looks effortless with him. Like it's like he's doing it. It's like he's laughing with the other dogs, going, "I'm only strolling along here beside you." Like,
yeah,
it's like Usain Bolt at the end of 100 meters, like looking across. He just like it's.
We're not saying he's looking across though.
No, is that all you can do? Like,
yeah,
is that all you can do? Like, he's just absolutely strolling by them. I mean, like when you watch the race and he missed it that badly. And that's out of character for recent efforts. And then I'm thinking, how did this dog win? Just to watch the race, it's he's phenomenally fast, Ian. Absolutely phenomenally fast. Like we wowed the 10 length beating of Rough Frankie the previous outing, but this was in some ways an awful lot better because he's doing 32.53. Despite doing everything wrong, being forced wide. There was even a dog in front of him going down to third bend that was kind of forcing him even further wide. And he just strolled by. I'm honest to God, it does. I don't know what it is about his stride. It just looks effortless, absolutely effortless. He is a phenomenally fast dog.
I think this was perhaps his best display. I thought it was stunning. I was most encouraged by the way he ran the opening corner. There was no sign of the easing. It was just a case of like he took a step to the right or something like that because that was what you should do in that situation. He hasn't resorted back to the old ways. I think the mind is clear now. I think the confidence has been rebuilt by these runs over the 575, 600 yards. And I still think he's probably fastest dog in training. I thought it was a stunning run. Barry, what can you say about him?
Yeah, look, he does have the tendency to miss the break. He has done it on 1 or 2 occasions. Look, he's incredibly fast. And as you say, I totally agree with you. I think he's had 4 or 5 clear runs now around the outside, nothing in front of him. And although he wasn't 100% fluent around the opening bends there at the weekend, he was much, much better. And I think we're trying to describe it going down the back straight. It's like standing beside a fella in the airport and you're walking on those escalators. And he makes really good dogs look slow. He's just flying past them, and he stays really strong. Look, if he's to break as well as he can, he's going to be impossible to hold. But look, the caliber of opposition does get better as the competition goes on naturally, and he has got that really slow start in him. So look, he is an incredibly fast dog. If it was 600 yards straight, we know it's not. He would be 1 to 100, wouldn't he? Because he's so quick. But it's just that slow start is in the back of your mind. But yeah, look, when he does things half right, he's incredibly fast.
Yeah, Droopy Sydney first, second, third, and fourth in this heat. Azurite was in second. I thought it was a big run from her. She blotted her copybook in her last start at Shelbourne Park. They'd given her plenty of time off. She's probably come in season. She had every chance to do mischief the other night. I thought she ran very hard. I thought she ran very well in defeat. Sing Along Dolly was back in third. She did little wrong. She just couldn't clear Azurite. And that was the issue. An easy razzle. She just found herself in a pocket on a couple of occasions. You know, I still think there's a huge run. I like her over this type of trip. If she gets loose into the bend, I think she's a big player. But yeah, the winner, Right Hope Beach. What an absolutely stunning performance. We'll move on and we'll get to the Puppy Oaks, because another unbelievable performance. This was from Ballymacdanica. She is outstandingly fast. We knew that. I actually took a chance the other night on Kerr Lady. I was so impressed with the early speed she showed in the semi-finals. And again, the other night, she showed terrific early speed. She's razor sharp, and she's a type of bitch now that I'd be keeping in mind for the Oaks, because I think there's much better to come from her in terms of overall time. But when Ballymacdanica, and she had to work to get around in second spot, when she did, that was it. Very much like her brother Ballymacgizmo, the pace and power she showed into that third bend, and she just bullied her rivals into submission. Crafty Bondi came home like an absolute express train. She is immensely fast. It's hard not to draw comparisons to Crafty Kokoro. They're very similar. And Kerr Lady, I thought, ran a big race in third. And the other two are very talented too. Droopy's Wriggle, she was just forced to check her stride the opening corner. Ballymacdanica just got herself in front of her, and that was the issue there. And Sober Sparkle, well, she always had a very tricky draw, but having looked at her run the previous week, that form has been franked by the winner. I think there's huge runs in Sober Sparkle, and she's certainly one to keep an eye on. They were 5 very talented finalists, but in the end, Ballymacdanica is just too good, too fast, Tommy.
Yeah, like you said, the important point of the race was getting by Droopy's Wriggle, and the fact that she actually did kind of drive on herself and actually do that at the first bend, where she could easily have lost the race, and you'd have been thinking you were sailing with Kerr Lady then. But another thing, again, I've talked about it a lot. Another thing that strikes me about this is the prices for the final. In fairness, if they're like the prices that are returned on that, they're pretty good. Yeah. I mean, Ballymacdanica was 11 to 8 before the semi-final. She's 4 to 5 in the final. I know Droopy's Wriggle was 9 to 4 and probably well backed on the night, and as a main danger and drawn just inside her. You're saying maybe she'd have the pace to hold up Ballymacdanica, and she nearly did. But I think you've been given a reasonable chance there. Betting wise.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, absolutely. 4 to 5 is a perfectly fair price about a bitch where she just gets the clear passage, and she'd be very hard to stop Barry.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think they're. I'm impressed by looking at them.
Yeah, obviously Droopy's Wriggle came in for a bit of support on the night. It's surprising me 9 to 4 that short. Look, she has got a big run around Newbridge, but I think this is a type of race that you're going to look back in a year's time and go, remember that final of the Suncross Festival Oaks? Look at all the runners that were in that, because I really do think
Barry, I have no doubt that that's the finest collection of bitches we've seen in a Puppy Oaks final.
Yeah, I agree.
Either Puppy Oaks over the last 10 years. I think every single one of them could go on to win an Oaks. I think they're immensely talented.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a race you're going to look back on, because Kerr Lady, as you say, the early pace that she showed. You were talking earlier on about the Scooby Dog in the final of the Kirby, that he doesn't do anything flashy as regards early. I think Ballymacdanica fits into that in a little bit of a better way, whereas regards Kerr Lady will have the early pace, and Crafty Bondi will be the one coming home, and she's just the one that does everything right in the middle, and she's the all-round pace. But I hope they all stay out of season and they all turn up in the Oaks, as do some of the others to be seen down in Limerick in action Saturday, because it should be a crack.
Yeah, we've been talking about every Oaks for the last 5 years like this. It's just crazy, that level of talent. A lot of these bitches are bitches that in the past would have been just gone straight to breeding paddocks. They've had 1 or 2 runs off the breeding paddocks, but there is a there's plenty of targets out there for them, and I think people have realised that if you have a good one, it really does pay, certainly at the other end when they do go to breeding. And we've seen so many of the very top class bitches breeding very well over the last few years, which hasn't always been the case. But no, I think there's some very special ladies around, and yeah, just doesn't look like stopping anytime soon. You know, again, we could have a year where 3 or 4 classics go to the bitches, and yeah, Ballymacdanica is certainly one capable of winning a classic or two. Very, very talented lady. Craft Eye Bondi in second spot. Tommy, where would you go with her? You'd have to throw into the Oaks, obviously. You know, like she'd be finishing like a train. Peter Dively keeps telling me, he said this lady can go to the bend faster than she has, and I hope I'm there the night she does.
Yeah, she must have been 10 lengths down. I know it wasn't behind the winner, but it was behind Carol Lady. She must be the best part of 10 lengths down at one stage. She's beaten 3 behind Ballymacdanica, who's doing everything right from the second bend there, from the first bend, having battled her way to get into second place. So like Crafty Bondi is making up immense ground. It's I don't know, like she is very much like Crafty Kokoro, and you could definitely see her. She matures, being the type of bitch, especially since again the derby's a bit later. You could definitely see her playing a part in the latter stages because she seems to be clever enough to be able to, you know, find a way out of trouble without getting, being in serious trouble, and show that pace. Then, and I will keep it all in reserve to show that ability. She's immense. I'd like to later in the year, I'd like to compare her sectionals home compared to Crafty Kokoro's, because I think she's doing something pretty special.
She's 8 lengths behind Ballymacdanica at the second bend. She's beaten
Yeah, she's
3.
10,
Like, this
10 behind the leader.
Ballymacdanica is like 27.85 around Limerick, 27.83
Yeah.
around Limerick. Like, it's unbelievable. Again, I'm
Yeah.
going to touch on Carol O'Glady. Barry, I know you've owned a couple of early pace ladies in recent times. Carol O'Glady is one you'd have some fun with.
Oh yeah, stop and like it's all about being out in front over that 525 trip in Shelbourne Park, and she's flying to the corner, leading some real stars. She has been a bit of a star since she started off her career, 28.52 debut win, and she's only had a handful of runs, I think less than 10 runs. And look, she's the one out of all those finalists that's probably guaranteed to lead each week, isn't she? The way she's going up. So, yeah, you said you're going to firmly keep her on side for the Oaks, and you can see why.
Oh, if she was 25 to 1 for the Oaks, you know, near the time.
Oh, she will be. She'll be that at least when you look at the quality.
You'd have
of
to have something on her. You'd have to have something, because her, like, the level of, you know, performance she's shown to the third bend, and the fact that she has that 28.40 run around Tralee, and she's so lightly raced, she just strikes me as one that could improve exponentially on the overall clock. You know, I've no doubt she's capable of like 1580s to the third bend in Shelbourne Park on the right night to the third bend. And if you're doing 1580 third bend, there might be 3 dogs in the country capable of leading you. I think that's the type of bitch she is. No, brilliant puppy Oaks, brilliant winner, Ballymacdanica. Again, our thanks to Tony and Lorraine Howard, long time sponsors of the puppy Oaks. It was known as the Olympic Bee after their great star for a long time. In recent times, it's known as the Suncroft Festival Puppy Oaks. The Suncroft ladies were there the other evening again. Tony and Lorraine, like, they give so generously to the sport. They are huge supporters of Shelbourne Park, and it's great to see them still involved. There was a dual distance final on the card won by Carrick Keno. I'll be honest, he still hasn't turned into the dog I think he will, or I hope that he would turn into, but it was a hell of a run the other night. I still don't know how Delroad Duke was beaten. Delroad Duke goes on 3-4 lengths in front, 4-7 favourite, just from the draw on that inside. But Carrick Keno somehow found a way to pick him up. 29.83. I've no doubt in 3 months' time, in the top of the summer, this will be a 29.50 run. I still think there's better to come from both first and second. I think they're both 29, 20, 29, 30 dogs. But, you know, a hell of a run, and one that we could be looking back on. Even Mairead's Prince back in third is pretty talented. Barry, were you as shocked as me to see him picked up, Delroad Duke?
I'm a big fan of Delroad Duke, and he's certainly my cliff dog now at this stage. He really is. I just think there's a massive run in him, as he showed. I thought he broke 28 seconds down, and it was Tralee, I think, earlier on, or Limerick, not too sure where it was, but yeah, he was 4-7 at the off there, and
wasn't it?
Was it Tralee? Yeah, he was 4-7 at the off, and I'm sure he was about 1 to 100 heading by the 750 box. He really was. And I was going to ask you, because I wasn't there, you can see things different. Did he cramp up? It didn't look like he did on the video, but I don't think a dog of his quality should be giving up a lead of that sort of magnitude off the last, but even off the last bend, he looked home and hosed. And look, taking nothing away from the winner, Caracino, because he ran a cracking race. But even Murray's Prince was closing to within 2 lengths. I'm sure Pat's a little bit disappointed with him. Look, he's quite lightly raced this year as well, so maybe he's just coming on and he will improve for the run, like, you know.
To steal your line, this type of run we could look back on in a few months' time and go, you know, God, that reads well now, that form, you know.
Because he flew to the third bend.
Yeah. Tommy, any thoughts?
You know, Juki, just that form was he was in the Dennis Linehan, the unraced in Cork last year. Remember that we were talking about the time.
Yeah.
And that was won by Druby Flightline, who is currently favoured for the Irish Derby. And Druby Zelda was second. She ran the other night. She finished second in the super sprint the previous week. I think we spotted that was a pretty hot Dennis Linehan at the time.
We sure did, yeah. Jatara was the star at the time as well, along with Druby's Flightline. Hasn't really worked out for him yet, but there's still plenty of ability there. We'll move on. The last race on the card, I just want to give it a mention. YI Bonnie Lad, the newcomer of the year last year. Obviously, he won the National Puppy Stake and he won the valuable Paddy Merriman Memorial. It was great to see him back to winning ways in 2024. He'd only had the one start. He showed all his early speed up the inside, and once leading on the opening corner, never looked in danger. 28.41, as I said. I don't think the track was flying. I think it was a good run on the night. High View Splash made little impression on him from the second bend. I think this is going to be a hell of a run. Just want to mention Dunanelli Fred. Thought he showed loads of early speed on the outside of the track. Now trained by Michael O'Donovan. Just keep an eye out for him. I think he's a winner in waiting. But no, YI Bonnie Lad, just a nice display to finish off proceedings, Barry.
Yeah, it was for Martin Langley, who's come over a couple of times and tasted good success with this dog. It didn't happen for him in the Kirby. He was a bit unlucky around the third bend, I think, wasn't he? He just got clipped from behind. But yeah, I was surprised High View Splash didn't make much ground on down the back straight. I thought if you pause the race at halfway, you're thinking High View Splash is going to get really, really close here. Might even win the race. But in fairness to YI Bonnie Lad, I think he's a little bit stronger than he was when we first started in his career. You know, he wouldn't have been the strongest of stayers in the world. But even in the final of I think it was the Paddy Merriman Memorial he won, wasn't it? He stayed on strongly that night. And unfortunately for Jerry, he's beat him again here on Saturday night with High View Splash back in second place. I do agree with you with Dunanelli Fred. He put in a big trial there, a sprint trial, 18.50, I think it was, since moving to Michael O'Donovan. But yeah, so he's one to keep on the right side of.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to finish off just a quick mention of the action at Toaster on Sunday afternoon. Ireland had a number of runners, be it in Derby Trial Stakes or indeed the KAB Maiden Derby. Ireland will have 4 finalists in the KAB Maiden Derby, 3 of them trained by Paul Hennessy, Barefoot Awesome, JT Craze and JT Etienne. I'd been taken by JT Etienne defeat in the opening round. He was second again. Barefoot Awesome was second too. The Graham Holland trained Garfinney Blake, who led from early to win in 29.47, but the headlines undoubtedly go to JT Craze, of course, who looked a star on one or two occasions around Shelbourne Park, did a 28.14 run, at which time he was purchased by John Turner, trained now by Paul Hennessy, bought off Liam Dowling. And this fellow, well, he took off 28.88 in the semi-finals of the Maiden Derby. He will no doubt start favourite in the final, and if he produces a similar type of run, it'll be very hard to beat. Gaytime Nemo was out of luck, the defending English Derby champion in a Derby trial stake. Hawkfield Blue was third in that one. I see Swords Fudge was third. A couple of others I don't want to miss out. I probably will at this stage. New Inn Port was the winner for Graham. He won in 29.37, ran well from the front. If I did miss one, I apologize. A lot to get through today. Gentlemen, the Irish challenge for the English Derby will kick into gear now, you'd imagine, in the next couple of weeks, with plenty heading across. We're going to need to be strong. The English have a few nice dogs this year compared to previous years, but I'd still be expecting us to land the trophy in late June. Let's hope. Anything else to add while we're on the airwaves?
I just want to be there the day you say, before the start of the English Derby, I think this one will stay at home. That will never happen. That will never happen.
Never. Barry?
I just want to finish up by saying it was good to see Scaglietti get a win over there. I know he was bought for big money and things haven't went right for him, so it's nice to see him get a win. And you're all bitch Ballymac Taylor. Only a 4-dog race at the end of the card at Toaster, but a thrilling finish just to get up to beat Infield's Charm by a length and a quarter in the last race.
Yeah, farthest she's ever gone. She was 2 English lengths off the track record. I say 2 English lengths because they have 8 spots rather than 7 spots. She was 16 spots behind the track record of
I Am's a Royale. Extra the English, aren't they?
Of who owns the track record? I Am's a Royale. Who had a winner? at Shelbourne Park on Friday night.
Very good.
There you are now. I Am's a Liberty. Great to see I Am's a Royal breeding some nice ones. Coming from off the pace, I Am's a Liberty. Who would have guessed it? No, lots of good performances. Actually, another dog we should mention, Sid Zafiro. A son of Susie Sapphire, 28-30 odd at Shelbourne Park on Friday night in the semi-finals of the Resets Open on Race Stake. He'll be favourite in the final. He looks a proper tool, Barry. Still better to come from him. I'd say this, even he will even sharpen up more, I'd suggest.
Yeah, and Tommy was talking about Ballymacdallica going off a good price. I think Sid Severa went off a 4-5 as well, didn't he? And like he's shown pace everywhere. He's flying to the bend, flying to the third bend. He doesn't seem to be too short on stamina, as you would expect him to improve. And he's very, very young as well. And pedigree ain't too bad either.
Yeah, he's got trap 2 in the final. Sid Zafiro, son of Rugby Sydney out of Susie Sapphire for Peter Comerford and Owen McKenna. Not a bad breed. One to look forward to going forward. That's it, though, from us on Talking Dogs on Monday. My thanks again to the exiled dub Tommy Lyons and, of course, to the other bald one, Barry Caul. Barry, a pleasure as always.
Someday, Ian, someday you'll catch us.
It's just as well you got your hairline from your mother, because if it was your father, we'd be all bald here.
But my grandfather on my father's side had his hair till the day he died. So I'm praying that it's from his lineage. Gentlemen, best of luck. We'll see you again in the future. Again, we reflect on a brilliant performance from Knockeen Dazzler in winning the Con and Annie Kirby Memorial for 2024. A wonderful competition and a truly, truly spectacular winner on the night. Tommy said it best. He won with real authority. A great occasion down at Limerick. We look forward to the 2025 renewal. Best of luck to the finalists in the select stakes down at Kilcohen Park in Waterford. And of course, the dogs remaining in the Shelbourne Open 600. Lots of racing to look forward to. Get to the track this weekend. I promise you won't forget it. Yes, indeed. Well, that's where we would normally leave you, but today we have a little bit of an extra treat. But before I go, I want to thank Barry Caul and the exile dub Tommy Lyons for their sterling work here this evening. I think some pertinent points made. Of course, I steered them in the right direction, but they got there in the end. But on a week where we will reflect on the brilliant performance of Knockeen Dazzler capturing the Con and Annie Kirby Memorial, well, it's only fitting that we catch up with the young man himself, Daniel O'Rahilly, who steered Knockeen Dazzler to some great success. Here is my chat with Daniel. Well, of course, on Saturday night, Knockeen Dazzler raced to a brilliant success in the Con and Annie Kirby Memorial. And the man I'm talking to knows more about it than most. Daniel O'Rahilly, the lucky owner of Knockeen Dazzler, also lucky handler. Daniel, you're 17 years of age. It's all downhill from here, you know that.
Yeah, no, thanks very much for having me on, Ian. Listen, Jesus, we're all delighted. We're under no illusions that these type of events, it doesn't happen too often that we get these kind of successes ourselves. So it's when it does happen, we have to savor them.
Yeah, like for the likes of myself, I was well into my 30s when the first Kirby Memorial was run. You were only knee high to a grasshopper. You'd have been about 5 or 6 years of age when the first Kirby was run. So I suppose it's been around for as long as you can remember Greyhound racing. Whereas it's a new enough competition for me. But I think the atmosphere and the general well-being on Saturday night was there for all to see. I assume you were just swept away with in a wave of emotion.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the Kirby, it's just an incredible event. The fact obviously with all the GA clubs getting involved and even the support that we got from Mount Collins GA, and it's the same for all the finalists there. Like there was a great crowd there, obviously with I Am Maximus and Manila Times being paraded. It was just a great event, and even to be just have a dog good enough to run the Kirby is a great achievement. But to have one then to get to the final and go on to win it, it means everything really.
Yeah, Mount Collins GA you mentioned there. It's next stop Kerry with Mount Collins GA. Is it fitting that it was the nearest GA club they could find to Kerry?
Yeah,
that you
exactly.
was representing yourselves.
Yeah, no, I did. Even there, like our own part should be Ballymac, and there'll be a couple of connections between Ballymac and Mount Collins as well. So no, geez, we were delighted for them. They wouldn't be the biggest club, so it was nice to get the pot for them as well.
Tell us about yourself, Daniel. Obviously, you're involved in Greyhounds a while. Your father, DD, and of course your grandfather.
Yeah, I've actually, there's just a picture up behind me here. It's of my grandfather when he won the Laurels back in 1981 with Knockeen Master. So obviously he would have been in Greyhounds his entire life, and the same with my father. He would have grown up around them, and it's the same with me. So it's been passed down through all of us. So not even there just for the family. There was a huge crowd of us up there. So even and even just for friends from Ballymac and all around the place. It meant so much to us to have everyone there supporting us.
And tell me, how did you get your hands on the dog? Obviously bred by the Matthews family. There's obviously a connection there.
Yeah, well, it was back in April of 22 that, we had a couple of dogs in the kennel, but, I said that, I was interested in buying a couple, real well-bred pups. And so we got in contact with the Matthews team, and we went up there and we got these two pups when they were about 12 weeks of age, and we haven't looked back since. Delighted now.
Who did the initial choice? Was it yourself or was your father?
Yeah, it was well, I suppose we were both constantly kind of humming it over. Like we had contacted a few people. It had we'd been sort of on the lookout for a couple of months, and anyway we pulled the trigger then, and we settled on these two.
Yeah, you obviously thought from early enough that Knockeen Dazzler was going to turn into a good greyhound, get some good form around Tralee, of course. But you also brought him to Shelbourne Park. That was a sign that you knew you had a dog.
Yeah, I suppose from day one we always had an awful lot of them. We started him off in the Jerry Hennerty in Cork. He ran well enough there in his first race. He was doing, I think it was a 28.69, and he finished fourth still, which will tell you all about that stake. But so we decided we'd run him in Tralee. Then he ran well in that stake, in fairness. We then brought him to Shelbourne. Looking back now, it was a big mistake to run him there. We kind of well, it was my own fault really. I shouldn't have run there. We kind of discovered that he had one or two issues then a couple of days after the race. So we just decided, we'll put him away for a couple of months, very much with the Kirby in mind, because in fairness, we always knew we had a very talented dog. And I think that couple of weeks off, it done the world of good.
Yeah, and he came back this year, obviously one prep run into the Kirby. And the fact that he hadn't been overly done at that stage sort of stood to him, because he improved with each and every round, not just on the clock at the finish, but also in the sectionals. Like, this was a dog that really did the penny drop through the competition.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Even though, like, I suppose he'd plenty of experience on his side in terms of, he was a March 22 pup, but he was still, he still hadn't a whole pile of experience in that. Obviously, you could see he was getting a lot more professional, even there trapping wise. He was never the best trapper, but you could see he was nearly improving every single night. And obviously culminating in the final there, where he trapped probably his best there in the final. So that's the night that you want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he did the 1852 trial, obviously, before the Kirby Memorial. That's sizzling itself. But then that 28.48 run, the first round, that sort of, got all our attention. Obviously, the Bold Falcon was a well-spoken of greyhound. He was second to him that night, beaten 2.5 lengths. The next night, 28.54. It was a very competitive third round heat where things got close up front, and it was tight to fair. That was his only defeat in the Kirby. 28.23, 28.10. And I suppose the nature of the 28.23 defeat or victory, the way he kicked again from the last bend, once we all saw that, we were sort of suspecting that if he did hit the front in the final, it was going to take a hell of a dog to beat him. You don't get picked up in 28.10.
Yeah, I suppose going to the final with Ian Riley's dog and 5 Phoenix Sice, and that was a big enough concern, given the fact that he probably had the most early in the race after us, so he was always going to pose an issue to us. But when he sort of slightly missed it, we knew that we were going to have every chance. Obviously on the inside, the Romeo Kingpin dog, he was very well drawn. Merit's inclusion, he was well drawn inside in 3. If he trapped, he would have been tough to beat. But in fairness, he came out the night that he needed to. Even there, like with the preliminaries and everything like that, you start to be concerned, all right, but he handled everything very well.
Is he a cool customer? Is he a laid back dog?
At home, he would be. He's a lovely professional dog at home, very laid back. But when he gets to the track, he can get a bit worked up. All right. Now, in saying that, I didn't think the noise would have too much of an effect on him. But he was still, even there at the back of your mind, with everything that's going on with the huge crowd there and the roar and everything, you'd just be concerned maybe that, obviously being so young as well, since they're only pups, like, you wonder how they'd be able to handle it. But no, he handled it very well in fairness to him, so delighted.
And 28.10, you're watching it from the infield. How was your view?
Yeah, to be honest, I can't really remember a whole pile of it. Like, you sort of, even there during the week, like, obviously I'm inside in school in 5th year, and you'll be kind of playing it through in your mind, what it might feel like. And it's just, it's difficult to kind of get your head around it, because, like, you can't really believe that you're actually there. When you're watching going around, you're sort of saying, geez, he might actually win a Kirby here. And and it wasn't, I'd say it wasn't until he came off the final bend that, I kind of actually realized that this might happen. And yeah, it was just the most surreal experience.
Yeah, it's a real experience. Daniel, obviously he's handled Limerick to aplomb. You'd imagine the ledger now, this time of this year, the timing of the ledger is nearly perfect. And I am sure you're also keen to get him back to Shelbourne Park.
Yeah, don't worry, that will definitely be right at the top of the agenda. Obviously, yeah, like you said, with the ledger being in July and the extra 25 yards to the bend would certainly suit him. He was staying stronger nearly every week. I suppose when we were starting him off, we were wondering would he even get 525, but he's obviously he's shown now that he gets the 525 well now. So yeah, I wouldn't have much concern stepping up to 550.
I don't think many people would. This dog's made for 550 yards, Daniel.
Yeah,
Have no fear.
Especially around Shelbourne. And being a wide seat, I would probably play his hands more than it would around Limerick. So yeah, no, we'd be very much looking there towards obviously with the Derby in October, November. We'll be looking forward to that now. To have even a dog that's capable of running is great.
Now, I know when I was your age, if there was 50 quid in my pocket, it didn't last long. There's quite a chunk of change in your pocket. What are you going to do with it?
To be totally honest with you, I haven't given too much thought about it. We might, I suppose, it's obviously there's a lot of expenses that have to be paid still. Even there, like we had a bitch there going up in the Dublin Cup, his sister knocking down and going up to Dublin every week. There's having to pay for petrol and diesel. A certain amount of it goes towards that.
Yeah, you can pay for a lot of petrol and diesel now with 80,000. You know that.
But yeah, obviously we'll invest now in a couple more pups there and keep them coming along and just keep us going and keep us ticking over.
Daniel, all I can say is my heartiest congratulations. A wonderful training achievement. Apart from the fact that you've got yourselves a great dog, the way you brought him along through the competition was stunning. 28-10 the final, and the way he was improving week on week. As I said in the podcast, I'm not sure he wouldn't have broken 28 seconds next week. So everything going well. There might even be more improvement in him, and if that's the case, I think everyone should be very, very wary of Knockeen Dazzler in the future.
Yeah, no, in fairness, and even there, like after the way he's after coming out of this race. I would have loved to have seen if he was running again Saturday night, because no, I'm not saying that he would have, but I have a funny feeling he possibly could have gone faster. Given I think he's after coming out of the final better than he's come out of any other round. So yeah, no, he's a great competition dog in that regard. So we'll hopefully have a bit more fun with him in the future.
I'll put it this way to you. He's not just a great competition dog, he's just a great dog. Listen, Daniel, my heartiest congratulations. You have a proper one in your hands. Take care, and we look forward to seeing you up in Shelbourne Park sometime. But before then, who knows? You might just win a ledger.
Please God. God be willing.
Daniel, thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Much appreciated.